Hola amigos, Ash here, welcome back to Gents. Hope that you're doing well. I love you guys. Today I've got for you 10 different fragrances that will upgrade your collection. They'll just take it up just 1 or 2 notches. And really, all the fragrances that I talked to you about, and really all these fragrances you need to know about. Some of them are hidden gems. Some of them are great cheapies, and others are part of a really popular line, but sometimes get overlooked. So it's a good mix, a little bit of everything in here. All the fragrances are gonna be linked in the description. Let's get started right away with this little guy right here, Dunhill Amalfi Citrus. And every time I bring up one of these Dunhill Signature Collection fragrances, I feel like I just gotta tell you, check out the Signature Collection, because they're really cheap. At discounters, they can go for under 50 bucks, and typically the quality is really high. And oh yeah, nobody's wearing them. That actually sounds like a negative. That's not how I meant it. Nobody's wearing them because all your average Joes out there don't know they exist. They're basically just like, we made a terrible business decision. We invested all this money in coming out with these fragrances, and then we forgot the whole, we gotta sell them thing. Dang it. So Amalfi Citrus, as you can tell by the coloration and the name, is a citrus forward fragrance, but with strong green aspects as well. It could remind you a bit of Varvatos Artisan Pure fragrances in that style, which means it might also remind you a little bit of like Neroli Portofino and things like that. Because this does have a Neroli note that's very much in the forefront of the fragrance, along with all those citruses and green notes as well. Get a little vetiver and musk as the fragrance dries down, and the quality for the price point is, again, just crazy. Sometimes you can find this for like $45. And on the higher end, it's like maybe 60, but pretty much all day, every day at your discounter of choice, you should be able to find this in the mid-50s range. So Amalfi Citrus, this one perfect for spring and summer, great daytime fragrance, nice office fragrance, and also the whole rest of that line. Look them up. Don't say I didn't tell you, okay? That's a potential like little secret weapon, that lineup. There's gonna be something in there for everybody. That's how you can flex your knowledge on the plebs, your designer knowledge. From there, let's hop on over to Montblanc Legend Spirit. Feel the spirit deep inside you. No, I don't want it. Legend Spirit is quite similar to Invictus Aqua from Paco Rabanne, and I would also like to say that the new Invictus Aqua, if you can find that, that would be a good one to pop in here also. The issue with that, at least as of when I'm shooting this video, can't find it at discounters, and your best bet is basically like if you're going through an international airport where they have it there, or eBay. And that's not really very useful for very many people out there, so Legend Spirit it is. This one is cheap, so it's another one from discounters that won't cost all that much. So around mid-30s, that's how much it costs in the US at discounters typically. It's got aquatic notes, it has citrus in there, it's got a bubblegum sweetness, just like Invictus Aqua, but it's at the same time very fresh. Performance is decent for a fragrance of this style, and as always, because it's cheap, who really cares? You can go heavy if you want to. A solid compliment puller, and a fragrance that still works really well. At one point in time, this was a bit of a hype beast, like everybody talking about it, and then it fell off a little bit, but it still works just as well today as it did then. And with Invictus Aqua coming back out, it makes sense to reach for it again. At least if you're trying to be trendy, I guess. Maybe lie to some people. Tell them you're wearing the new Invictus Aqua. Hope they don't check you on it. Just plain don't do that unless you really want to. Let's go with something a bit different next. Another fresh one though, and then we'll get into some that aren't quite as fresh. This is a Guerlain, and I have to say that if you buy this nowadays, it is not gonna look like this. This is Guerlain Homme Intense. So that's what my bottle is. If you buy it nowadays, it's gonna be Guerlain Homme Eau de Parfum, and it's gonna come in a bottle style that looks really similar to the L'Homme Ideal bottles. Frankly, it's just the Guerlain bottle at this point. They just all pretty much use that style, it feels like. And I actually wanna get that new bottle style, because I've had this one obviously for a long time, and I need to get the new one so that I can be with the times, you know? Don't wanna be pouring out this old bottle. People look at that and be like, can't get that anymore. So anyway, the fragrance itself, it's got peppermint, it has lime, rum as well, and it's really well known for having a mojito kind of vibe to it. So when you first spray it on, you get that boozy, sugary, sweet combination of the citrus, the mint, and the rum. And of course, everybody thinks right away, mojito. And it smells great. Really appealing. Little touch of like florals along the edges, not too heavy or anything, don't worry about that. And as it dries down, a clean vetiver comes out, nice and woody in the dry down. So you get a masculine scent that has a tropical opening, and then a really easygoing woodsy dry down. Stuff smells great, and basically nobody is wearing this if you compare it to the big dogs, you know, the really big sellers out there. So it'll help you stand out even more. After that, I want to talk about La Nuit de l'Homme Le Parfum from Yves Saint Laurent, which I feel like has always flown under the radar. Because the original La Nuit de l'Homme, that's considered like a modern masterpiece at this point, and that one has gone through multiple levels of hype over the years. Like when it came out, a little while later, and other things happened, a lot of hype. La Nuit de l'Homme Le Parfum, not as much. And yet, smells awesome. Super appealing fruity sweetness in this one, which helps set it apart from the original La Nuit de l'Homme. You also have anise in there, you have pepper, a good amount of vanilla, and a little bit of lavender and patchouli as well. So this one has a great mix of fresh and deep and sweet kind of all mixed together. Pretty good longevity as well. I know the original La Nuit de l'Homme gets hated on for its performance a lot, but this one lasts a decent amount of time. And the projection is not great, but it's good enough. It's a solid evening fragrance, really nice for fall, winter, and spring, and a compliment puller also. And it's another fragrance, like some of these others I've talked about already, that not really many people are wearing. So it's gonna stand out even more so nowadays. Before we hop to the next fragrance, guys, if you're on TikTok, I have started making content there, so follow me there at Gents. And as well, as always, here are some codes, guys, that you can use to save yourself some cash across a bunch of different websites. Of most import are the new JOMASHOP and Max Aroma codes. Then of course there's the Perfume Box, there's Frag Flex, there's Triple Traders, there's Twisted Lily, there's so many codes. So use those, commit those to memory like Professor X, and use them to save yourself some money. Let's go up next with one of my favorite designer oud fragrances, which if you follow the channel, you might already know what this is. Okay, I said one of my favorites. What if I just said my favorite? It's Versace Oud Noir. I love everything about this. I love the gradient. I love the look of the bottle. I think it's super classy. I love the fragrance itself. Yes, it's a little bit similar to Oud Wood from Tom Ford. You know, it's inspired by Oud Wood, but it also does its own thing. You know, as it dries down, they go their separate ways a little bit. It's like in the opening here, this and Oud Wood are like, hi, how are you? And then they just, you know, go their own ways. It's a very spicy oud fragrance, warm, a little sweet, and a bit zingy. Black pepper, cardamom, saffron, gonna be some of those spicy notes in here. Little touch of citrus off the top, even a little neroli as well. So you have this faint waft of freshness as it leads you into somewhat lightly medicinal oud and spice dry down. If you're just getting started into oud fragrances, this is not a bad place to start because it gives you a hint about what oud fragrances can be, but it still keeps it firmly wearable and grounded in the designer realm with a slight edge. I think it smells great. It's an easy to wear one, real nice for wintertime, classy as well. All right, let's go why live life from Yves Saint Laurent. So of course, when it comes to why, it's all about why EDP, right? And why Le Parfum, and maybe to a lesser extent than those two, why EDP Intense. Why Live is never gonna be as big as those. It just isn't. But if you're looking for something that can compete in terms of compliments and versatility with why EDP, this one, Why Live, will do it. This is one of my most consistently complimented fragrances out there. It is sweet, which a lot of Why fragrances are, so I guess you would expect that. It's also fresh. It has a bit of an Invictus style DNA. You could think of it a little bit as mixing bits of that bubblegum aspect from Invictus with very fresh, sweet Why DNA as well. It's kind of blending those together and you get this. Really nice performance, great during the day or the evening, and hyper versatile. I would wear this all year round, daytime, nighttime, like I just said, doesn't matter. This is one of those fragrances that will pull unsolicited compliments. Let's class it up with Pasha de Cartier Parfum. Now, the original Pasha de Cartier smells great also, but a lot of people would say it's, you know, more for older gentlemen. It's a nice way to put it. This one still has the DNA of the original. You can still pick it up pretty easily when you smell this, but it's more modern, more contemporary. It's got a nice boozy sweetness to it. Good amount of sandalwood as well. Also benzoin, balsam fir, tonka, some of the other notes in the scent. It's got like a faint barbershop-y, what? Got a faint barbershop-y aspect that lingers there in the background, provides a nice base for the fragrance. Wonderful performance, nice projection, longevity, everything that you want. It is more of a special occasion fragrance, I would say, for most people. It's gonna be more of an evening scent. And if you're a younger guy, it's probably not going to appeal to you all that much. But for middle-aged guys and up looking for something that's really gonna help set them apart in more formal occasions, this is a good choice. From there, we go to Code, Armani Code Parfum, which Giorgio Armani blessed us with a magnetic cap on this one. Oh, and look at that, it's a pretty good one. Oof. What about these? All these losers. Not a magnetic cap in sight. Pathetic. Carpets, it's all good. But yeah, magnetic cap on this one, looking good, smelling good as well. And this was really the fragrance that kicked off what I feel like is Giorgio Armani's identity crisis that they're going through. Because remember guys, they changed the bottle style. And then there were rumblings like, oh, they're gonna start discontinuing things. They're gonna move stuff into the new style. Oh, we didn't know how crazy it was gonna get at the time, did we? But Armani Code Parfum works on a lot of different levels. So it has a good amount of iris in there, but it doesn't go makeup-y, lipsticky. It keeps it fresh, which is what I was surprised about most when that came out. The opening, really fresh. I thought it was gonna be much darker than it is, and while it does get a little bit more so as it dries down, it's still not a fragrance that's dark, heavy, mysterious. Not really. It's classy, a bit fresh, touch sweet, clean, real easy to wear. People like it a lot. And so it's a fragrance that actually has way more versatility than I first expected when it was announced and released. And it's one that I find myself going back to with some regularity. So pretty good stuff. You gotta know about this one. Another one you need to know about is Lacoste L'Homme Intense. Now looking at this bottle, it does look cheap. Certainly, it looks the cheapest here. Like, Lacoste did not want to spend all that much money on this one right here as far as the presentation goes, because the cap is just, it weighs like 5 grams. I don't know. It's just a super lightweight little plastic cap. Bottle, very plain. There's really not too much that's gonna set this apart from other things if you see it on the shelf. You just be like, oh, okay. And this is another one you can get for under 40 bucks consistently. You can get this for like 35 for the full size, I guess we'll call it. And then the 50 mil you can get for right at about 30 most of the time. Good amount of ginger in there, rhubarb as well, a bunch of citrus off the top, which gives it a really interesting opening. No, it's not anything like hyper niche or anything like that, but it's got a nice mixture of tart, lively, and sweet and fresh. And actually it's a fragrance that has a bunch of notes to it, which nowadays is extremely rare. Most new fragrances have 3 or 4 notes because apparently we're all dummies who can't like make up our minds if we see more than 3 or 4 things. I just wonder how they view the buying public. They're like, I don't know, man. If we give this fragrance more than 3 notes, they might get confused. We gotta keep it real stupid and simple, okay? Let's just say citrus, lavender, and woods. I think they can understand that. Like they think that we're all knuckle draggers and we just walk into you know, wherever we shop and, you know, just like, fragrance, And then the sales professional there is like, oh, this one has notes of iris, whiskey, blonde woods, lavender, and you go, no, too much, We can handle the notes, okay? Or I can. I think. But this guy right here, it's a really, really nice overlooked spring, summer, daytime fragrance. Great versatility. Nice, fresh, clean, sweet, the type of fragrance that will get attention easily. It doesn't cost very much. Like I said, it's not anything crazy new, but when you smell it, it's well done, it's well put together, the quality is there, and the price is low. And we will finish with this one, Narciso Rodriguez Bleu Noir Parfum. So iris, once again, a little iris action. And whereas this one was more fresh and clean with the iris, this goes a little more makeup-y. So it's gonna be more in line with Valentino Uomo Intense, Dior Homme Intense, Gentleman Eau de Parfum, stuff like that. The quality is up there with those other fragrances. The issue is this came out after the other fragrances. So for a lot of people, those became like the big three iris fragrance lines for men, right? It was like Gentleman, Dior Homme, Valentino Uomo. Obviously there have been changes since then, but that's kind of how it felt for a while. Then this came in after the fact, and so it gets overlooked sometimes. It's got cardamom, cypress, tonka, and a bit of suede in there, as well as that iris I mentioned before. Nice, sweet, sexy type of scent profile. That is once again gonna be a little more skewed toward evening use, more special occasions. But if you like the fragrance and it works well for you, there's no real reason that you couldn't turn it into a signature scent, especially for fall and winter. And it will absolutely stand out against what most people are wearing. All right, guys, there we go. Nice lineup of different things. Like I said, some under the radar, some cheapies, and some from lines where the other fragrances typically get a bit more hype. Thank you all for hanging with me. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys later.